Ralph here, True Power Trumpet Fitness. And we're starting, as you saw the thumbnail, with the trombone flute connection. Okay, I did a video on this years ago, maybe 2 years ago. Anyway, the reason why I am bringing it back is because it involves Jim Decker, who's the trombone player, in the subject of yesterday's video. Now, and it involves Jim Decker and his good friend Keith Underwood, the flute virtuoso, who has better articulations than Ron Paul. I mean, go check it out. There's tons of stuff of him on the internet. Keith Underwood, and if flute is not your thing, fine. But listen to the pop of the and the multiple tongues. Unbelievable. Now, flute's a different animal. There's no question, and we'll touch on that in a minute. But doing the same thing with the articulations. So anyway, a little background. Keith, who now works, along with being a in-demand flute virtuosi, chamber music, solos, things like that, world-renowned. Also teaches at the Manor School of Music, my alma mater, in New York, and NYU, among other things. He also does a lot of conducting at festivals, all-state festivals and things like that. And we'll get to that in a second because that comes into play. So anyway, Keith actually grew up here in Connecticut, about an hour away in West Hartford. And his teacher was a man by the name of Sal Amata, which may not mean anything to you, but he worked in New York for a long time as a doubler. Saxophone, flute, clarinet, oboe, the whole 9 yards. And he was Keith's first flute teacher. Okay? And he taught him spit buzzing, spitting through the teeth. The same thing we're doing. Okay? And he was, all state, got into Yale, got into Juilliard, the whole 9 yards, and his career was off. Now, he went to, I'm not sure if it was Yale or Juilliard. I've met him a couple times, and we never got into this. But whatever, the flute teacher in college got him away from the spit buzzing. Okay? And every time he would go back to Hartford and touch base with his old flute teacher, Sal Amata would be quite upfront with him. Old school Italian, okay? Salvatore Amato, and say, look, you sound terrific, but, the articulations don't do it for me. And explained that the teacher that he had was taking him off that style of tonguing, okay? Fast forward several years, and Keith and Jim Decker became good friends. I'm not sure if it was in college. I'm not sure if it was freelancing. It might have just been freelancing. They became quite good friends. And Keith decided several years ago that he wanted to go visit his good friend Jim Decker. Okay? Now, if you're going to go visit a friend and stay a few days, you might as well pick the one that lives in Hawaii, right? No fool Keith Underwood, right? I bet Jim had a lot of friends that all of a sudden wanted, let's get together. Yeah, that happens when you live in Hawaii. Anyway, so he goes out to Hawaii. Now, since that time, Jim had touched base with Jerry. Now, I told you in yesterday's, he's been with Jerry for quite a while. I don't know how many years. But he had a couple of Jerry's books. So Keith is just goofing around one day in Jim's studio, and he comes across Jerry's book. Sounded interesting. Starts reading. He says, oh, my God. This is exactly what my teacher, Sal Amata, was teaching years ago, and he got away from it. So when he comes back, he calls up Jerry and asks for a lesson. And Jerry was flabbergasted. He was downright embarrassed. He knew who Keith was. And he says, look, I can't play a B-flat scale on the flute. I wouldn't know what to teach. He said, no. I know all the music. I just want to hear what you say about the tonguing and how you implement it. So he comes over and sat in, the chair all of us sit in. And sure enough, Jerry taught him the stuff. He picked it up like that. It's very, very easy for the flute to do it. And he's playing all these concerto, concerti in tough places, tough gigs. One with his old chops, one with his new. Everything was superior. Guys, I'm telling you, do yourself a favor and listen to those notes pop in anything that he plays. And he's got a Carnival of Venice that would make Del Stegers run away and hide. Anyway, so off he was, and they were quite close for Jerry and Keith for 8 years. Okay? But the thing about it is, up to that point, the reason I'm bringing that up to that point, Jerry and I knew that what we were doing worked for all brass instruments. And by this time, I am teaching public school. I've given up the freelance and teaching public school. And I've been using this on all my brass players, my trombone players, French horn, euphonium, all that sort of stuff. And they're killing it. They're absolutely, now we knew that, but it never even entered our minds that it would work for flute. Okay? Now, since that original lesson, Jerry called me up and says, "You're not going to believe this. Try this on your flute players." Yeah. Okay. Finally, he wore me down. And I started trying, oh my God. I started noodling around. I can't play it. Now, you band directors, for me anyway, it doesn't work right after I've been playing the trumpet. Okay, so give it a couple minutes before you start trying to do this. And now, here's the kicker. Keith had a significant other at the time, I'm not sure if they're still together, who was one of the top oboe players in New York. Now, if you know anything about playing an oboe, you band directors, you know that the compression and the backup, leads to, chiropractors and neck thing. It's brutal. It's brutal what these oboe players go through. And at the time, Keith's friend, significant other, was doing a Broadway show and having trouble. Okay? So Keith calls up Jerry and says, "Look, can you come?" Jerry says, "You kidding me? I oboe? You're killing me here. Flute is one thing, but oboe? Just." So they go out, the two of them, and they go out, and sure enough, he just says what he thinks might be right. We'll try this. Well, okay, now how does that feel? Blah, blah, blah. And they sort of blind leading the blind walk themselves through it. And sure enough, works for oboe players. And she was cured of all her pain almost immediately. Okay? Now also, since that time, as I told you up front, Keith does a lot of conducting. He goes to festivals. And wherever he goes, he has the whole orchestra, all state, the wind players, spit buzzing their parts. If they're having trouble with something, if they're out of tune, spit buzz it. And the thing about it is, guys, you can't, at these all-state competitions, you can't take the person aside and change his mouthpiece and give him a lesson and all this sort of stuff. So, spit buzz it, boom, cures all ills. Guys, and if you're not spit buzzing, you're not doing this. Okay? Now, attention band directors. If you get your kids spit buzzing in this way, you are going to see your production. You are going to feel the production of that band jump, spike immediately. Now, if you haven't been doing it since day one, they're going to think it's silly. They're absolutely going to think it's silly. But once they realize that it is part of the curriculum, and guys, it's so simple. Explain to them. Have a diagram on the overhead if you want. Look, if you want to take the diagram out of my book, okay, use that. That's fine. And show them what's going to happen with the tongue. You all start with scales. I'm sure you do. Right? We've all been in school band. Start with a handful of scales. Play it once. Spit buzz it once. Then go to another scale. Play it once. Spit buzz it once. Okay? It'll take you another 10 seconds out of your rehearsal. 10 seconds each scale. It might take you a minute to do 4 or 5 scales, spit buzz. You're going to do the scales anyway. Just add another minute to your scales and spit buzz it. You don't have to change the mouthpiece, and you're not going to believe the difference. It sounds like band A and band B. 2 different bands playing the scale. You play a C scale once, spit buzz it, play it again. You're not going to believe the difference in Now, they're going to think it's doofy, but once you know, day in and day out, they know this is part of it. They're not going to bother a bit. A tough part, your trumpet player can't hit the high C. Spit buzz it, Johnny. Guys, for band director, it is you can't force all the kids to take lessons and study this true power system, but you can add spit buzzing into your curriculum. Like Keith Underwood, guys, I guarantee a quantum leap in the tone, power, range, and endurance of your brass players, your wind players, and the dreaded intonation. Middle school bands, you don't have to walk around with the little machine. No. Spit buzz it. Everybody spit buzz in tune. If somebody's way out, Johnny, pull your slide in. Just a little bit. I mean, yeah, you can do that. But guys, I'm telling you, it's going to lock in. And that's without the mouthpieces. If you put the mouthpieces in, the callot mouthpiece, the world is yours. The world is your oyster. Anyway, there you go. The trombone, flute connection. Attention all band directors. You're not going to believe how much better it makes it. Anyway, love you all. I'm going to be off grid. This is going to be it until Monday. So I will try my best to get to Wi-Fi and answer emails. If you're buying a book, do it on the website so you'll get it via the website, www.tpwr.org. $10, true power to the max. Got the thumbs up from Jerry Cowett as the best brass book ever written. How's that? How's that? Anyway, that's it. Love you all, and Happy New Year. Oh, by the way, you got a video up of my health and fitness. Guys, all of us have gained a pound or two over these holidays. I'm going to start right on January 1st, day on the health and fitness channel, weight loss. I'm going to tell you how to do it. I'm going to incorporate kettlebells. Gentlemen, if you want to do it, get yourself a 35-pound kettlebell. Ladies, if you want to do it, get a 25-pound kettlebell. I'll tell you what to eat. I'll tell you how to exercise. I'll tell you how to meditate. You will never feel better. And I guarantee you by the end of January, whatever you gained, gone. That's it. Love you all, and we'll talk again